We are talking to George Siemens, Executive Director of the Learning, Innovation, and Networked Knowledge Lab at the University of Texas at Arlington. So, George, what are your best tips for staying productive in writing and publishing?
Thanks, Peggy. It's a great question. I think one that academics face more and more, especially when publishing and writing is very different than what it used to be. So today I would say for an academic to be productive, you have to look beyond putting in a journal article or beyond conference proceedings. You really have to start engaging in blogs, social media, Twitter, Facebook, and other areas as well. So the way that, and I'll talk about each individually. So from a writing end, I think that's the easiest one to push to the side unless you're really highly motivated by writing, but it's in some cases it's this session that has the biggest impact on one's career, the producing quality publications, but it's also the one that is the most consuming and needs the most time and focus. So when you're looking at just the amount of resources we encounter on a daily basis, it's easy to have that pushed to the side. So I've tried various strategies in the past on how to manage it, whether it is setting set time, where you have a couple of writing weeks annually where you shut everything down and just spend time writing. I've tried the set writing time on a daily basis, so you've got a few hours every day that you commit to writing. I've tried the laissez-faire approach, where you just kind of, when the spirit moves you, you deliver. And I don't know if I would say any one is more productive than the other. I think the general view has to be having some goals and knowing routinely what I'd like to write about. So I always have a list of articles that I want to write. And then it's a matter more of deciding how to best approach those. And it's all a matter of schedule and personal activities and life circumstances as well. So I find that I don't have a set approach to it, but I always have, at minimum, I'd say 5 articles that are on the go or that I'm playing with or trying to do some work around. How I tackle those articles is completely different depending on what's going on. If I'm doing a lot of traveling, then it's time on an airplane, it's time in a hotel room. If I have a little more flexibility in the schedule, it might be a week downtime that's devoted just to writing. The other one, the social media dimension, in terms of being a digital scholar, that's a little easier to handle because it doesn't take as much dedicated time. And so I find that I typically try to engage in at least Twitter at minimum daily, just a few tweets, retweets, or so on, and to try and blog every week or every couple weeks at the outset. And that seems to work, but it's really about scheduling regular time, because the last thing you want to do when you're trying to build a social media profile or a digital profile is to just not post. I mean, that's people will visit once or twice. If they don't see anything new, then sort of that relationship discontinues. So consistency of posting is critical in a social media environment.
Okay. Thanks. Is there anything else you want to add about habits or processes as an academic writer?
Well, like I said, habits are really life circumstance dependent for me, and a big function of it's due to travel. The routines are fairly challenging to try and articulate or to set up regularly, so I keep that reasonably flexible. But I've found that having a clear goal of what I want to write about allows me at least to work on it in bits and pieces. Another aspect that I've found quite useful is to, particularly around research grants, to be continually focused on seeing that parallel between what you're researching and then starting to develop and revise what it might look like in an article as you're engaging in the research. I've also found, perhaps more than almost anything else for being a productive writer, it is building a fairly strong network of peers that you write with. And these are individuals where you have shared research interest, you have similar goals and values, and hopefully you have different skill sets. So if there's 2 qualitative researchers writing a paper, that needs to be augmented with someone who has more quantitative skills. Or if there's a particular viewpoint in the form of a paper, it should be augmented by someone who has a different viewpoint. And so having a good network of people to write with, which provides then the additional pressure of contributing regularly and being involved as a regular writer. So I do find that that's a particularly helpful habit to get into.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.